Habaragani, what is the word? Tonight's word is Kwanzaa. My name is Sage Chioma, and I have the honor and privilege of not only being a docent here at the International Civil Rights Center and Museum, but being tonight's speaker who will speak on a principle that is near and dear to my heart. Kwanzaa means creativity in Swahili. And creativity is something that just oozes from the souls of Black folk. I'd like to say that I am proud that as a docent of the International Civil Rights Center and Museum, I have the opportunity to serve as a motivational speaker, poet, community health educator, and author. Tonight, I am speaking on a subject that is near and dear to my heart. Creativity is the superpower of Blacks across the globe and throughout the African diaspora. On the 6th day of Kwanzaa, the International Civil Rights Center and Museum is proud to present the principle of Kwanzaa, creativity. To do as much as we can in the way we can in order to leave our community more beautiful and beneficial than we inherited it. Habaragani, what's the word? Kwanzaa. The International Civil Rights Center and Museum welcomes you to the 6th night of Kwanzaa. The principle Kwanzaa in Swahili means creativity. Kwanzaa, to do as much as we can in the way we can in order to leave our community more beautiful and beneficial than when we inherited it. The word principle is defined as a fundamental truth or proposition that serves as the foundation for a system or belief or behavior or for a chain of reasoning. In other words, a principle is a simple truth that helps to positively guide you in your life. When speaking of principles, one thing I know for sure is that principles are deeply rooted in values, which is perfectly demonstrated within the 7 spiritual principles of Kwanzaa. Spiritual principles are never in conflict with one another. They are interlocked, woven tightly together, each principle building one upon the other. The 6th principle of Kwanzaa, Kwanzaa, creativity, is perfectly anchored between Nia and Imani, purpose and faith. Purpose and faith, 2 highly charged spiritual principles. Just the word creativity reminds me of what we all have been told, that we are created in the image and likeness of the Creator. Yes, that spark of divinity, inherent in each one of us, is made manifest through our creativity, both individually and collectively. The creativity that emerged from the collective soul of Black folks, whether from their sorrow and sadness or their resilience and brilliance, continues to influence modern culture across the globe. Daniel Black, the author of The Coming, a book written about the Maafa, which is a Swahili term that means the great disaster, great tragedy, the unspeakable horror of the Middle Passage. The word Maafa acknowledges those who died during the Middle Passage. There are as many as 2 million lives lost. The Maafa acknowledges those whose bones still lie on the floor of the Atlantic Ocean. I've written a poem inspired by the doorway of no return in the Cape Coast Castle on Gorée Island in Senegal. The poem is titled Doorway. The shrieks of ghosts echo from the Cape Coast Castle. Spices, ivory, and gold melt into Atlantic horizons. A doorway leads to stolen tomorrows. A perilous journey begins, never to return again. The sale of spices, ivory, and gold choke the memories loved ones hold. Beautiful African bodies twisted like brown twigs, wall to wall, shame-shackled souls suffocating in the dismal, dank dungeons of misery and despair. Each one's thirst insatiable, thirsty for water to drink, to cleanse, to wash dung-caked bottoms, crammed into close quarters, tight corners, thirsting for a quarter of an inch to stretch limbs and lungs. Only naked terror could pierce this darkness as coffins with white sails set off into bloody sunsets, scorching humanity's collective soul. Going once, going twice, black flesh sold. Going once, going twice, black flesh sold. Daniel Black states that continuously shifting the African did not destroy the gifts. He speaks of the magnificence of the creativity and gifts that were spread across the globe in what we lovingly refer to as the African diaspora. Daniel Black also declares that not only were the gifts transferred with us, but it was those very same gifts that saved us. Creativity, defined as the ability to transcend traditional ideas, patterns, relationships, and to create meaningful new ideas, forms, methods, and interpretations. Kuumba requires communication, ingenuity, inspiration, collaboration, originality, and above all else, imagination. The key words I choose to highlight are transcend and imagination. Both words reveal the inherent power in the principle of Kuumba. These are aspects of creativity that allow the heart of Africa to pulsate and, like an electric current, surge throughout the African diaspora. Traditional rhythms held in their hearts and minds made the journey with them. In 1817, in New Orleans, the enslaved were permitted to sing and dance every Sunday afternoon in a place called Congo Square in the center of New Orleans. The curious whites who turned out to see them did not know what they were witnessing. The complex percussive rhythms and syncopated beats also made the journey, and once unleashed, activated opportunities for collaboration, communication, ingenuity, and inspiration. A burst of creative energy released moans, shouts, utterances, and soulful tones, creating musical notes filled with such sorrow, never heard by human ears nor felt by human heart. Music that is timeless and continues to soothe the collective soul of humanity. Yes, work songs emerged, call and response emerged, Negro spirituals emerged, ragtime, jazz, blues, bebop, and the boombox beats bouncing off the concrete, with the modern day griot of hip hop emerging within the inner city. The African declaring their own freedom through the powerful art of creative self-expression. The principle of Kuumba, doing as much as we can, the way we can, to leave not only our community more beautiful than we inherited it, but the entire world gained from our presence and collective power, reminding us once again that our inherent divinity is manifest in our creativity, both individually and collectively. Kuumba gave the African the ability to transcend traditional ideas, patterns, rules, and relationships deeply embedded in a fabricated social construct designed to make them complicit in their own demise. It is the power of Kuumba, perfectly anchored and wedged between Nia and Imani, purpose and faith, that enabled them to create meaningful new ideas, forms, methods, interpretations of originality and progressiveness. Kuumba required us to use our imagination. One of my favorite definitions for the word imagination is the power to recombine the material furnished by experience or memory for the accomplishment of an elevated purpose. Remember, spiritual principles are never in conflict. They interlock and they're tightly woven together, each building off of the other. Isabel Wilkerson writes about how the newly freed found themselves in a climate of violence, hostility, and cruelty. They fled the southern states to escape lynching and Jim Crow, a system of discrimination. It is with great faith, Imani, that 6 million migrated, mainly to the northern states, bringing all of their talent, craftsmanship, and creative genius with them. As the presence and power of Ka'umba continue to build with Nia and Imani in full stride for a purpose greater than merely surviving, but for the elevated purpose of striving, thriving, and moving beyond the boundaries of their known reality. Ka'umba contains within it the use of the imagination to ask new questions like, what is a dream deferred? This is the question Langston Hughes asked in his poem Harlem. What happens to a dream deferred? The final lines of the poem ask the question, maybe it sags like a heavy load, or does it explode? I say yes. A dream deferred exploded into the Harlem Renaissance, producing great poets, writers, and playwrights, Zora Neale Hurston, James Weldon Johnson, Countee Cullen, and Langston Hughes, just to name a few. It produced musicians, composers, and band leaders, Count Basie, Louis Armstrong, Duke Ellington. And in the 1960s, it exploded once again into the Black arts movement, artistry rooted in resistance. Art requires improvisation and imagination. Recently, Iyanla Vanzant, the inspirational speaker, author, New Thought leader, shared a very powerful teaching on the word imagination. She shared that imagination contains 176 words. Yes, you heard me right. 176 words can be made from the one word imagination. A few choice words like animate, animation, giant, ignition, atoning, maintain, nation, magi, anoint, gain, and my personal favorite, 2 words combined, I am. What I know about spiritual principles, especially in the case of Ka'umba, it is only through application that they work. And imagination is what activates the application of Ka'umba and gave us the determination as a people to transcend and rise above all obstacles and adversity. Can you fathom the amount of improvisation and imagination it required for a people to envision a world where they could and would define themselves, shape, mend, and mold their own destiny? The contributions of Black people throughout the African diaspora are endless. Although creativity is understood as the use of imagination or original ideas, especially in the production of artistic work, I would be remiss if I stopped there, because the gifts that were transferred from Africa throughout the diaspora didn't stop at the artistry of Black folks. I chose 2 African American scientists to highlight because they both mastered the art of transcendence. And their lives fully demonstrate the commitment to always do as much as we can in the way that we can in order to make our community more beautiful and beneficial than when we inherited it. The first, George Washington Carver, had to transcend the traditional ideas, patterns, and rules of his time, being born enslaved and orphaned as an infant. The first relationship that contributed to his transcendence was his relationship with nature as a boy. It was the one thing that made sense and mirrored his connection to both the creation and the creator. In his own words, he described being overwhelmed by a great presence and stated, I knew even then it was the great spirit of the universe, and never since have I been without this consciousness of God speaking to me through plants, rocks, and every other aspect of the Creator. His love for plants and nature progressed, and he first pursued an education in the fine arts, painting beautiful floral arrangements and landscapes. He later became an agricultural scientist and dedicated his life to serving Black farmers and providing resources to help them gain more independence economically. While a professor at Tuskegee Institute, George Washington Carver developed techniques to improve soils depleted by the repeated planting of cotton. Apart from his work to improve the life of farmers, Carver was also a leader in promoting environmentalism. George Washington Carver created over 300 products made from peanuts, sweet potatoes, and soybeans. All the while, he demonstrated the principles of Ujima, collective work and responsibility, and Ujamaa, cooperative economics. This was his vision. His tombstone reads, "He could have added fortune to fame, but caring for neither, he found happiness and honor in being helpful to the world." Although many of his African American contemporaries did not agree with Carver or Booker T. Washington, it was Dr. Luther Williams who says George Washington Carver's revolutionary disposition was creativity and discovery, not activism in the social political context. The second scientist, Dr. Hadiya Nicole Green, is a STEM pioneer, leader, humanitarian, and entrepreneur who is introducing the world to the next generation of cancer treatments, cancer charities, and affordable health care. She is one of the nation's leading medical physicists and one of the first African American women to earn a PhD in physics. Dr. Green developed a revolutionary cancer treatment that uses lasers and nanotechnology to eliminate cancer in mice after only one 10-minute treatment in just 15 days, with no observable side effects. To assure the affordability of this treatment, she founded a nonprofit organization, the Orally Smith Cancer Research Foundation. The example of these two scientists demonstrates that the gifts that were transferred from Africa throughout the diaspora are not limited to artistic works. Both Carver and Green recombined the materials furnished by experience or memory for the accomplishment of an elevated purpose. However, there is something to be said about artistry, and what I've heard is that there is a strange paradox when creating art in an oppressive system. The art becomes the perfect container in which the truth can be held, hidden, or cleverly disguised. In many instances, the artist could speak truth to power, like when Maya Angelou took control of the narrative and penned these words of defiance: "Still I rise." You may write me down in history with your bitter, twisted lies. You may tread me in the very dirt, but still, like dust, I'll rise. Does my sassiness upset you? Why are you beset with gloom? 'Cause I walk like I got oil wells pumping in my living room, just like moons and like suns, with the certainty of tide, just like hope springing high, still I'll rise. Did you want to see me broken, bow head and lowered eyes, shoulders falling down like teardrops, weakened by my soulful cries? Does my haughtiness upset you? Don't you take it awful hard that I laugh like I got gold mines digging in my own backyard? You may shoot me with your words, you may cut me with your eyes, you may kill me with your hatefulness, but still, like air, I'll rise. Does my sexiness upset you? Does it come as a surprise that I dance like I got diamonds at the meeting of my thighs? Out of the huts of history's shame, I rise. Up from a past that's rooted in pain, I rise. I am a black ocean, leaping and wide. Welling and swelling, I bear in the tide. Leaving behind nights of terror and fear, I'll rise into a daybreak that is wondrously clear. I'll rise, bringing the gifts that the ancestors gave. I am the dream and hope of the slave. I rise, I rise, I rise. Fred Motley is well known in his hometown of Danville, Virginia, where he works as an actor, playwright, and director. After falling in love with drama club in high school, Motley left Danville to attend Barber Scotia College in Concord, North Carolina. After college, he worked as a cultural writer in Atlanta and Washington, D.C. It was in D.C. during a West African dance class that he first realized his purpose as a storyteller. The instructor had told Motley, "You are collecting stories. You are becoming a griot. You are singing the stories. You are writing the stories. You are dancing the stories." Motley explains, "A griot in our culture is known as the keeper of the words." In 2001, years after returning home, he founded the Danville Storytelling Festival as an artistic social bridge to connect the city's residents. Motley also regularly interprets Thomas Day, the renowned 19th century Black furniture maker. The International Civil Rights Center and Museum is proud to present Fred and Bo Motley, presenting on the principle of Kwanzaa.
Fangalafia, ashe, ashe. Fangalafia, ashe, ashe. Come, come, everybody, everybody. Come, come, everybody, everybody. Peace and love we give to you. Peace and love we give to you. From the heavens from which it came, and the earth on which it reigns. From the heaven from which it came, and the earth on which it reigns. In and out we'll hope for you. In and out we'll turn around for you. In and out we'll hope for you. In and out we'll turn around for you. Let's celebrate. Let's celebrate. Everybody hold your heart. Let's celebrate. Let's celebrate. Everybody hold your heart. Take love from your heart and throw it out. Take love from your heart and throw it out. So love is out. Love is out. Love is out. Love is out. Now from the heaven from which it came, and the earth on which it rained. From the heaven from which it came, and the earth on which it rained. From the north, from the south, from the east and the west. From the north, from the south, east and the west. From the north, from the south, from the east and west. All are welcome. We welcome you to the 6th day of the Kwanzaa celebration. The day we celebrate our creativity. Creativity that makes our community better. For you see, everything we touch becomes more beautiful. And so we celebrate this 6th day, Kwanzaa, with storytelling. Storytelling time. Storytelling time. Na 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 na. Woo! Storytelling time. And now the very first story can be told. Shh. story about two old friends, sun and wind. Listen, no hiding place down here. There's no hiding place down here. No hiding place down here. No hiding place down here. Sun and wind had been friends for, such a long time. And they always loved to visit each other. And when they did, it was always a good time. But like old friends, they couldn't leave each other without disagreeing on something. Run to the rock and hide too. This visit was no different. As they are sitting on the front porch rocking, Wind decided that they hadn't disagreed on nothing yet. And so he said to Sun, you know, my power is greater than yours. Sun said, what makes you say that? He said, because it just is. Ooh, no hiding place down here. No hiding place down here. And Wind said to Sun, he said, you know what? I can prove it to you. Let's have a test. Sun said, well, what do you want to do? Run to the rock and hide too. And Wind looked around for a little bit to see what was going on. And then he saw a man coming down the street. And that man had a hat and a coat on his head. Oh, run to the rock and hide too. He said, I tell you what. When that man come past us, I bet you I can make him take his hat and his coat off. Sun said, okay. And then that man, as he got close to them, Wind went to the edge of his chair and he took a deep breath and he blew as hard as he could blow. Oh, that man wrapped his coat around him and kept right on past him. Oh, Wind, he took another deep breath and he blew as hard as he could. Well, that man held his coat, put his hand on his hat and held it down and walked through that wind. Sun said, let me give it a shot. He didn't move. He just kept right on rocking in his chair. And then he started to smile. And when he started to smile, it got warm. And the bigger his smile got, the hotter it got. While he smiled so big that that man unbuttoned his coat, took it off, took his hat off his head, and started to fan himself with it. Wind looked at his old friend and he said, well, I guess you are stronger with your powers than I am. Sun just sat back in his chair and he said, you see, my friend, you don't always have to use force to get people to do what you want. Sometimes all you have to do is just smile at them. No hiding place down here. 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 We continue our celebration, and for this we are going to go to the motherland. And we are bringing over a game. It's called Che Cole. And the way it works is that I will say something and then you repeat it after me. I will show you a movement and you will do that movement. We're going to try it first. So I'm going to say Che Cole. Then you're going to repeat Che Cole. I'm going to do a movement with that and then you're going to do that movement. So it'll be che, che, ko, lay. And you would do che, che, ko, lay. Let's celebrate with che, che, ko, lay from the motherland. Che, che, ko, lay. Che, ko, fisa. Kofisa langa, langa che langa, a day, a day, che cole, che kofisa langa. Langa, che langa, a day, a day, che cole, che kofisa langa, langa, che langa. A day, a day. 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 We continue our creativity of storytelling, staying in the motherland. Now, this is a story about a very, very clever turtle. I want you to listen and find out why this turtle was so very, very clever. Early one morning, the farmer went out to check on his corn. And at the very edge of the field was a turtle with a big smile on his face. Well, he ran back to the village and he said, come see what's been done to our corn. And all of the villagers, they ran out to the fields, and sure enough, all of that corn had been eaten up. Well, they got that old turtle. They took him back to the village. And they said, what shall we do? What shall we do? They thought. And they thought. I know, said one. Let's have some turtle soup. Oh, they all agree, yes, that's what they should do, is have some turtle soup. Well, somebody went out and got some wood and came back, started a fire under that big black pot. Somebody poured water in that pot. That fire just a-blazing, that water just a-boiling. They got old turtle, was about to put him in the pot. Turtle looked at that fire. He looked at that boiling water. He looked at all of those people looking at him, and he knew he had to think real quick. So he said, oh, no. This is too good for me. For what I've done to y'all's corn, I deserve worse than this. But please, no matter what y'all do, don't take me down yonder to that river and throw me in, because you know I ain't going to survive. Whoa, they thought. He ain't afraid of getting in that boiling water. What shall we do? What shall we do? And they thought. And they thought. I know, say one. Let's take the turtle out into the desert. That sun is hot, and we'll leave in there. Oh, they got that old turtle, And they all started out into that desert. Chick-a-ting, chick-a-ting, ching-ting, ching-ting, chick-a-ting, chick-a-ting, ching-ting, chick-a-ting, chick-a-ting, ching-ting, chick-a-ting, chick-a-ting, ching-ting. When they got out into the desert, that sun was so hot, everybody was sweating. Turtle looked at that hot sun. He looked at that hot sand. He looked at all of those people, and he knew he had to think real quick. And so he said, oh, no, 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 no. This is too good for me. For what I done to y'all corn, I deserve worse than this. But please, please, no matter what y'all do, don't take me down to that river and throw me in. Because if y'all throw me in that river, I ain't going to survive. Oh, he ain't afraid to be left out here in this hot sun. What should we do? We got to do something to teach him a lesson for eating up all of our corn. And then somebody said, I got an idea. Let's take him down to the river and throw him in there. Oh, they got that turtle and they started chanting. Turtle to the river, turtle to the river, turtle to the river, turtle to the river. And when they got to the edge of the river, they lift Turtle up. And they lift him even higher. And they lift him up higher. And then they let Turtle just sink right down to the bottom of the river. Oh, they stood on the riverbank and they said to each other, I bet you no other turtle would dare eat our corn after they find out we throw turtles in the river. And then the water went, turtle head popped up. Turtle neck came up. And pretty soon, Turtle whole body was sitting on top of that water. And with a big smile on his face, he said, thank you, and swam away, because he was a clever old turtle. During your Kwanzaa celebration, we encourage you to share with the young people games that the elders used to play when they were children. You see, in our community, particularly during the summer evenings, we would hear these children's voices ringing out, making the most wonderful, joyous sound throughout the neighborhood. And one of those games was called Little Sally Walker. I want to share that with you. Little Sally Walker sitting in the saucer, rise, Sally, rise, wipe your weeping eyes, fly to the east, fly to the west, fly to the one that you love the best. I put your hands on your hips and let your backbone slip. Now shake it to the east, shake it to the west, shake it to the one that you love the best. I want to do it one more time so you can remember it. It goes, Little Sally Walker sitting in the saucer, rise, Sally, rise, wipe your weeping eyes, fly to the east, fly to the west, fly to the one that you love the best. I put hands on your hips and let your backbone slip. Now shake it to the east, shake it to the west, shake it to the one that you love the best. Once again, it is storytelling time. Na 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 na, woo! Storytelling time. This is the story of Old Joe and the carpenter. Old Joe lives way out in the country. And his nearest neighbor is his best friend. Why, they have been friends for so long. Now that their wives have transitioned and their children are grown and living their own lives, all they have are their farms and each other. But there came a time when old Joe and his neighbor had a serious disagreement for the first time in their long relationship. It was a silly disagreement about a calf. You see, the calf had somehow or another wound up on the neighbor's land, and so the neighbor claimed the cow. But old Joe said, oh, no. That calf has the same marking as one of my cows, so it belongs to me. They were both stubborn men, and neither one of them wanted to give in. And rather than hitting each other, they stopped talking, stomped off to their houses, slammed their door, and for 2 weeks, they did not talk to each other. Well, come Saturday morning, there's a knock at old Joe's door. He wasn't expecting anybody, and when he opened the door, to his surprise, there stood a young man who identified himself as a traveling carpenter. His tools box was at his foot, and there was kindness in his eyes. He said to old Joe, I'm really good with my hand, and if you have a couple of projects, I would like to help you out. Old Joe said, you know what? As a matter of fact, I do have something for you to do. He said, you see that house over yonder? That's my neighbor's house. He said, and you see that creek that's running along our property line? That creek wasn't there last week. He said he got on his tractor, dug that creek up to the pond, and flooded it just to spite me. He said, making me so darn mad at him. Then he said, look, I got some lumber, some posts, some nails, some boards in the shed, and I want you to build me a fence and make it a tall fence so that I won't have to see his house or him. Now, Joe had to go into town to get him some supplies. And while he was gone, that carpenter went straight to work. He started cutting and measuring and nailing, working all through his lunch break. By the time old Joe came home, he could not believe what he was seeing. It was amazing. That carpenter had built a bridge across the creek. It had handrails on it, sturdy, everything. The neighbor came running across that bridge with his hand extended, said, Joe, I'm sorry. You can have the cow. All I want is for us to be friends again. Old Joe said, oh no, you can have the cow, because all I want is for us to be friends again. He said, this young man here, he's the one who built this bridge. I asked him to build a wall, but he built the bridge so we could go across. They looked at the young man and they said, you know what? You really are good with your hands. And we have a couple of other projects that we can use you with. But the young man picked up his toolbox and he says, no, I'm going to have to go because you see, I've got some other bridges to build. I got shoes, you got shoes. Our ancestors always brought on a hymn for inspiration to let us know that there was better days ahead. I got shoes, you got shoes, all of God's children got shoes. When we get to heaven, we're gonna put on our shoes, we're gonna walk all over God's heaven. I got a crown, You got a crown. All God's children got a crown. When we get to heaven, gonna put on our crown. We're gonna walk all over God's heaven. I got a robe, you got a robe. All of God's children got a robe. When we get to heaven, gonna put on our robe. We're gonna walk all over God's heaven. I got you, I got a crown, I got a robe. When we get to heaven, gonna put on our shoes, put on our crown, put on robe, walk all over God's heaven. And so we encourage you to tell those stories, read those poems, play those games, sing those songs. For you see, everything we touch becomes more beautiful, celebrating Kwanzaa during this Kwanzaa season.
So as the holiday season comes to a close, remember the power of Kwanzaa, that spark of divinity inherent in each one of us, made manifest through our creativity, both individually and collectively. Remember that we are created in the image and likeness of the Creator. So you are always creating. You could never not create. So we have a choice to create deliberately and purposefully and intentionally, or by default. I ask you to join us and create purposefully, deliberately, and intentionally in the spirit of Kwanzaa. We want to thank you for joining us for Kwanzaa on this 6th day. Know that this is the day that Kwanzaa has the huge feast and community gathering and celebrations. So as you think about that, I hope that you enjoy the celebrations that you are attending, whether it be with your family in your home or within the community. We will see you again tomorrow, where we'll have our final day of Kwanzaa. Our speaker is Meredith Summers, speaking on the principle of Imani, faith.